fastest way to create a new database in Access is to use one of the many built-in templates. Start Access and select a template. Or if you already have Access running, select File and then New. From here, you select the template that seems closest to the kind of data you need to store. For example, if you need to manage asset data, select the Asset Tracking template. Give the database a name. Choose a location if you want to, and select Create. When the template opens, select Enable Content here. This allows the database to run all of its features, and you only have to do this once. Some of the templates help you get started. You can watch some videos or select one of the links for more help. From there, you just enter data and press Tab, the arrow keys, or use your mouse to move to the next field. That's it. You don't need to know database design or change anything, although you may want to. For example, this list probably isn't what you need. The text is just a placeholder. To change it, select a cell, not the header, but an actual cell. Right-click, and then select Edit List Items. Enter the text you want. Select OK. And now your categories make sense. With just a few changes and your own data, a template has you up and running in a lot less time than building a database from scratch. This type of database is called a desktop database, and it only runs on your computer. If you need a database that runs on the web, create an Access web app instead. Now you know how to create an Access desktop database from a built-in template. You're on your way. Tables are usually the first objects you add to a database because, simply put, they store your data. As we create this table, we'll identify its primary key. We'll also learn about the various data types available and see how we can set each field's data type. I'm going to put our design up here for reference. When we double-click the ID field here, we see that it becomes editable. Let's rename the field Customer ID. This way we always know where the values in the field come from, the customers table. All your tables must have a primary key, and Customer ID is the primary key for this table. When we press Enter here, Access selects the next blank field, and it displays this menu. Most of these items are data types. Every field in your database must be assigned a data type. Data types make storage more efficient because they control the size of your fields. For example, if you only need to capture names, you don't have to create a huge storage space for those names. That might not seem important in this simple example, but it is important when you have a lot of data. Data types also help you prevent mistakes. For example, you can't enter a name in a field set to contain dates and times. Let's take a quick look at the data types you can use. Short text is a text field which holds up to 256 characters. There's number, currency, date and time, and yes/no. A yes/no field can contain yes or no, true or false, or 1 and 0. Lookup and relationship isn't actually a data type, but you can use this to create a list of choices in that field. Rich text and long text both let you store a gigabyte of text. Desktop databases use rich text, and Access web apps use long text. The main difference between them is you can apply fonts and other formatting to rich text, such as bold and italic. Use the attachment data type to attach pictures and other files to a record, just like you can in email. Use the hyperlink data type to store web and email addresses, and use the calculated field data type to do things like combine first and last names or calculate a discount. There's another data type in this table, auto number. This data type assigns a sequential number whenever you add a new record. You can't change or delete a value in one of these fields. Many primary keys use this data type because, as a rule, you never want to change primary key values. When you build a table in an Access web app, you use the image data type instead of the attachment data type to store and display images. For this field, let's select short text because it's going to store names, and 256 characters is plenty of space. Notice that after we select the data type, the heading becomes editable. Let's enter first name and press the Tab key to select the next blank field. We select short text again and then type last name. Having the first and last names as two separate fields reflects the database design principle that each field should contain the smallest possible unit of data. Press Ctrl S to save the table. Let's name it Customers. Now we have a primary key and short text fields for first names and last names. Each field holds the smallest possible unit of data and has a data type. We now have what we need for this table. You can create a table in Datasheet View or in Table Design View. Working in Datasheet View is simple, a lot like entering data in a spreadsheet. On the other hand, when you work in Table Design View, you can be more deliberate about designing your database and setting your field types. You can also create a lookup list and also create a foreign key to pair with your primary key. On the ribbon, we select Create, then Table Design. If you like using hotkeys, hold down the Alt key and press the letter next to the command you want to use. In this case, that's C, and then TD. The Table Designer starts, and this new tab appears. This is a contextual tab. Access has several of them, and they only appear when you need them. This one has commands for inserting or deleting fields, and one for setting a primary key. Here in the Field Name column, we enter Phone ID. From the Data Type list, we select Auto Number, and then select Primary Key. We can also right-click the row and see many of the same commands. Again, press Alt plus the letter next to the command you want to use. For the next field, let's enter Phone Number and select the short text data type. Below that, let's enter Type and start to create a lookup list. Select Lookup Wizard. Type the values we want, and then select Next. One column is fine. In the first row, we enter the phone number types for the list: Office, then Mobile, Fax, Emergency, and Home. Select Next. The field already has the name we entered, so now we just select Finish. We could have made this field into its own separate table, but we didn't because it's a small amount of data. What we've done instead is create a lookup list. So now when we enter a name, we just pick the right value from the list that we set up. Finally, we need to create our foreign key. Let's call it Customer ID FK. Customer ID is the name of the primary key in the customer's table, and FK stands for foreign key. In other words, this is a shorthand way of knowing that this is a foreign key, and its primary key is the customer ID field in the customer's table. Next, we set the data type to number. This brings up a database design rule. The data types for your primary and foreign keys have to match or be compatible. In this case, we're using a compatible data type, as the primary key in the customer's table is an auto number data type field. Remember, Access controls the values in auto number fields. It keeps them in sequence as you add customer names, and you can never duplicate any of those sequential values. Because you need to duplicate values in the foreign key field anytime a customer has more than one phone number, we wouldn't want to use the auto number data type here. We need a compatible data type though, and in this case, it's number. Other data types like text are also compatible with your key fields. Save your table, calling it phone numbers. Now you know how to create a table in Table Design View, and in the process, create a value list and a foreign key. That's it. We're done.